Hey Hackintosh enthusiasts, and welcome back to the channel. It's your host Sudama, and today we're diving deep into the recently announced macOS 26, affectionately known as macOS Tahoe. Now, if you've been following the news from WWDC 2025, you know that the macOS Tahoe is a monumental release for us in the Hackintosh community. Why? Because Apple has officially confirmed this will be the last major macOS version to support Intel-based Macs. Yes, you heard it right. After Tahoe, it's all Apple Silicon, all the time. This makes optimizing your macOS Tahoe Hackintosh build more crucial than ever, especially when it comes to arguably one of the most vital components of your OpenCore UEFI, the SMBIOS. If you're new to Hackintosh, SMBIOS or System Management BIOS is essentially a set of data that tells macOS what kind of Apple hardware it's running on. Choosing the right SMBIOS is paramount for proper power management, GPU acceleration, USB functionality, and even receiving auto updates. Choose wrong and you're in for a world of headache. macOS Tahoe support Intel Macs officially. First, let's quickly review official Intel Macs. The Apple sets will be supported by macOS Tahoe. MacBook Pro 13-inch Intel 2020, iMac 27-inch Intel 10th Gen 2020, Mac Pro Intel Xeon 2019, Mac Mini Intel 2020. These are your reference points, the native hardware that macOS Tahoe is designed to run on. Now, for the exciting part, what does this mean for our Hackintosh builds? Let's talk about support SMBIOS. Choices for macOS Tahoe, particularly for Intel users, which is where most of Hackintosh community still resides. For the vast majority of Intel desktop users, especially those with 9th, 10th, and even 11th generation Intel Core CPUs, the sweet spot for macOS Tahoe compatibility will likely be iMac 20.1 for the 2020 27-inch iMac with 10th Gen Common Lake CPUs, iMac 20.2 for the 2020 27-inch iMac with dedicated AMD GPUs. These are fantastic choices because they directly correspond to the last generation of Intel iMacs, offering excellent native support for your CPUs and integrated graphics. They're generally the most hassle-free for power management and overall stability. If you're rocking more powerful or newer Intel CPUs like 12th, 13th, or 14th Gen Alder Lake or Raptor Lake processors, your best bets are still likely the more workstation-oriented SMBIOS. iMac Pro 1.1 for the iMac Pro, Mac Pro 7.1 for the Mac Pro 2019. These are especially crucial if you're using the dedicated AMD GPU, as they're designed for systems that rely heavily on discrete graphics. Keep in mind that newer Intel CPUs will require more complex patching, like for their P and E cores, and potentially more advanced OpenCore configurations. But these SMBIOS models provide necessary framework for proper GPU acceleration and system stability. SMBIOS for macOS Tahoe Hackintosh AMD users, and for AMD Ryzen users who continues to push boundaries of Hackintosh, iMac Pro 1.1, Mac Pro 7.1. These two SMBIOS models remain the go-to for AMD builds. They are designed for systems with powerful discrete GPUs, which is essential as macOS doesn't natively support integrated graphics on AMD CPUs for Hackintosh. You will still need specific kernel patches for AMD processor, but pairing it with one of these SMBIOS options will give you the best chance for a stable and performant system. Why are these SMBIOS supported? So why are these SMBIOS choices the supported ones? It boils down to hardware matching and native support. OpenCore works by mimicking a real Mac. When you choose an SMBIOS, you're essentially telling macOS, hey, I'm the specific Mac model. If your hardware closely aligns with the model specifications, particularly CPU generation, integrated graphics, and the exception of a discrete GPU, then macOS will function with much more smoothly. The iMac 20.1, 20.2, and iMac Pro 1.1, Mac Pro 7.1 models are ideal because they represent the latest or most powerful Intel-based Macs that still receive the full macOS updates and support. This means the underlying drivers and frameworks in macOS Tahoe are optimized for these configurations. Unsupported SMBIOS for macOS Tahoe Hackintosh. Now let's talk about the unsupported SMBIOS models. While OpenCore is incredibly flexible, trying to use an SMBIOS that doesn't align with your hardware or is no longer officially supported by macOS Tahoe can lead to a host of problems. Generally, any SMBIOS from older Mac models, particularly those that were dropped from macOS support in previous versions like Monterey or Sonoma, are likely to cause issues in Tahoe. This includes older iMac SMBIOS, that is iMac 15, iMac 16. While this might have worked with older macOS versions, they often lack the necessary modern hardware definitions for Tahoe, leading to problems with power management, GPU acceleration, and general stability. Older MacBook Pro Air SMBIOS, that is MacBook Pro 13, MacBook Air 8. These are designed for mobile chipsets and can cause significant headaches on desktop hardware, especially with the power management and integrated graphics. You might experience poor battery life even on a desktop, improper sleep, or a graphical glitches. Mac Mini SMBIOS, that is Mac Mini 8.1. While the Mac Mini 2020 is supported, older Mac Mini SMBIOS are generally discouraged for anything but 2 mini-PC builds, as the hardware profiles often don't match typically desktop components. Common issues with unsupported SMBIOS. What kind of issues you can expect with an unsupported SMBIOS? Poor power management. Your CPU might not clock down correctly, leading to high temperature and increased power consumption. No graphics acceleration no matter. This is a big one. Without proper graphics acceleration, your system will be slow, choppy, and many macOS features like transparent window, animations, and even basic video playback will be broken. USB port issues, incorrect USB mapping, or non-functionality ports, sleep-wake problems. The system might not sleep properly or wake up with a black screen, broken features. Things like AirDrop, hand-up, or even audio might not work as expected. No auto updates. This is crucial. If your SMBIOS isn't considered as valid for macOS Tahoe, you want to receive system updates directly from Apple, forcing you to do manual updates, which can be more complex. Key takeaways and best practices. So to summarize and give you the best chance of success with macOS Tahoe, match your CPU generation as closely as possible. If you have a Tandem Intel CPU, iMac 20,1 or iMac 2020 or iMac 20,2 are your best bet. For newer Intel, iMac Pro 1,1 or Mac Pro 7,1. Consider your GPU. If you have a dedicated AMD GPU, iMac 1,1 or Mac Pro 7,1 are generally preferred for both Intel and AMD builds. Always use OpenCore. This goes with the saying, but OpenCore provides a most robust and flexible platform for Hackintosh. With the base SMBIOS injection capabilities, use Gen SMBIOS. Always generate unique and invalid serial numbers, MLB, and EUIDs even tools like Gen SMBIOS. Never use real Apple serial numbers. Consult .NET's official guide. The .NET OpenCore install guide is your Bible for Hackintosh. Always repeat the recommendations for SMBIOS and other configurations. They keep it updated with the latest macOS versions. macOS Tahoe marks a significant moment for Hackintosh community. While it's bittersweet to know it's the last Intel horror, it also means we have fantastic, stable target for our builds. Be careful selecting the right SMBIOS and following the best practices. You can enjoy the full power and beauty of macOS Tahoe on your custom PC. If this video helped you understand SMBIOS from macOS Tahoe, please hit the like button, subscribe for more Hackintosh content, and let me know in the comments below what your Hackintosh build is and what SMBIOS you're planning to use for Tahoe. Thanks for watching and happy Hackintoshing. See you in the next one.